Day. Yo! Guess who's back in town again? The boys are back in town.
Happy days. Happy days are here again.
Yeah. Man. Welcome to the Instigators Hockey
Cheers,
Show.
everybody.
Look at these shirts. Hey, if you haven't checked out chriskotsopoulos.com, you're missing out. You can get these shirts.
Things have been actually going pretty good. I've been selling a few
good
to people. So
good. You can get these shirts, other items. We've got a store there. And obviously a lot of things Chris has. He signs lots of pictures and whatever else. So make sure you check out chriskotsopoulos.com.
And don't be afraid to buy the Instigator stuff.
Yeah, there's a link there for the Instigators. Make sure you're up to date and you subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be the end of the 2022-2023 Instigator season right here. We might do a surprise show at the end when the cup is all over. But anyway. Maybe. We'll keep you hanging, let you know what's happening. But welcome, and away we go. I don't know if you're into the honeymooners, but, a long time ago. I don't know. Kotzi's got a couple things. I got a couple things. Obviously, we'll talk a little New York Ranger news. Kotzi's got a feeling. He's got a taste. He's got a feeling for something with the New York Ranger coach situation. So we'll talk about that. I think I want to start real simple, and I don't know if this has come my way. Yep. Beth, I got to tell you, Beth is the best.
Awesome.
Beth is the best. I read an article today shortly. I was at work. I had a lot to do. Got a lot going on. I'm a very, very busy man. Unfortunately, I can't give this 100% all the time. But I had read quickly that Chris Chelios has been let go from the ESPN analyst page.
Why?
I don't know. I haven't read the entire article yet. But Beth just furnished me with the non-renewal of Chris Chelios. So before I get into that actual article, because I haven't even read it, so I'm going to read bits and pieces of it. Maybe I'll let Chris talk, and I'll kind of skim through and find out.
Yeah, you know what? You go ahead and look at that. I'll bring it up. I thought at the beginning when they first came on, Mess and him, and they were by themselves there for a while. And I thought that early on they had the typical jitters of guys that have never really done it that often. But I think as they went on, I thought they were really good. I thought Mess was starting to sound really, really awesome on there, and Chris Chelios obviously was doing a great job. I think the whole dichotomy changed their peoples when the clown came on, Subban. With his clown outfits and his clowning around on the set and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's what people like. I mean, they got that, whatever his name is, Crap Nasty or whatever on TBS and TNT. So they kind of like that stuff, I guess. Paul, I guess we're too old school, But I don't know. I thought it was pretty telling how the world's going these days. When a guy like Chris Chelios, 24 years or whatever he played, 26 years. 3-time Norris Trophy winner, 2-time Stanley Cup champion, gets shoved aside for a guy like Subban. So, you tell me. I mean, you got to remember, I was very critical of Chelios at one time at the end of his career. I thought he played about 2-3 years longer than he should have. That's just my opinion. But I thought him and Mess were a good match. Then they brought in the clown. And it sort of turned into a mockery.
I agree with you fully. I mean, you talk about, so the article just quickly states that Walt Disney and ESPN are having some cutbacks when it comes to talent contracts.
Well, I wonder why. You think it might be because Walt Disney's losing a little bit with their woke bullshit?
Could be. And it looks like Chelios was a little bit higher paid than probably Sluban. And that other fucking turkey piece of shit. What does he go by? Biz nasty piece of shit. It should be Biz shitty. That guy should get fired. He sucks. I can't believe Henrik Lundqvist Lundqvist sits on the same table with this guy, and I can't believe Wayne Gretzky sits at the same table with this guy. Probably unaware of his antics and his bullshit with Rangers and Ranger fans.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think many caught that little episode like we did
So
in almost real time, Paulie. How he just disregarded the Rangers and basically made the Rangers sound like just complete dirtbags.
yep, yep.
But hey, listen, it is what it is, and personally for me, ESPN can suck. I think they're one of the most woke sports channels there is right now with all their.
Well, it's funny.
You know what I mean? And they still haven't done a great job with the hockey part. I don't care what you tell me. I mean, it's on this channel.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
First
of all, I don't like the talent. I mean, we talk about Mess and Chelios. These are guys that you want to see. But I gotta tell you, I'm not crazy about the broadcasts. I'm not crazy with the color commentators. John Butchergrass needs to, he needs to stay somewhere in the college realm because he's so irrelevant these days. It's ridiculous. I mean, they just don't have what they used to have when they presented hockey. Gary Thorne, Bill Clement, a lot of power in the game at that time. They've let that cease, and they've brought in some really, letting go of Chelios, which is a big mistake. But all the other things, they got women commentators that, played in the Olympics. I'm sorry, and again, I'll bring this up time and time again. You never know where the game is being played. You got to search. Oh, is it on TBS? Is it on USA? Is it on ABC, TNT, 123? Oh, there it is. It's on ESPN 14. It's ridiculous. But with that being said, the color commentate's terrible. You're letting a guy like Chelios go. But you have women that never played the sport. And when I say the sport, in the league, never played in this league, doing color comment, I find it very interesting the way that they have handled this. It's been awful. So, not a big ESPN fan, and definitely now with the non-hiring of Chris Chelios, just horrible. Keeping guys like Sluban, who's won nothing, done nothing. And the other guy who's got 10 seconds in the NHL, for Christ's sakes. What did Bid Shitty play? I swear to God, he didn't play more than 30 games his whole career.
I think he played like 150.
So give me a break. Garbage, trash. I tell you.
But on the other hand, you could be like the TBS and TNT guys. The Flyers, he jumped right to the Flyers. Keith
Jones.
Yeah, Keith Jones goes from like talking hockey since he retired to like running. He's kind of basically second in command behind Montpellier. So maybe it's a good thing for Chelios. He'll be running a team soon. I don't know. I hope he does. He's actually a pretty good guy. I finally met him a few years ago up in Brockville, Ontario, when they did a Detroit Red Wing. I had to go, but I don't think he's too worried about it, Chelios. I think he'll bounce back and do something.
It's not like he needs the money. Yeah, I'll tell you. The next story I kind of want to get into, Cots.
Before that, I just want to let everybody know, rest in peace, Iron Sheik in the wrestling world, WWF, when it was called, not the WWE of today. One of the greatest heels of all time. And look at this thing, Paulie. Look at this glitzer.
Whoa!
You guys can't read that, can you? Look at that.
The double deuce, Nicky.
That is my former teammate, Nick Fatil, squaring off with Boston Bruin, John Wensing. And it's signed to me because I asked Nicky the last time we were at a golf tournament. I said, I need one for my wall of shame. So he's going right up there with all the rest of the guys in the wall of shame up top there. And Nicky was.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of redoing on here. I see it. I see it.
Yeah,
I see it.
yeah. There's some work
See,
being
I
done.
see it,
Yeah,
I see
we're
it,
starting
I
to
see
get it organized. It's going to take time, but it'll be all organized. But
some renovations.
this
Baby.
is a gem though, right here, Nick Fatillo.
It sure is.
That's a gem.
Sure is. It sure is.
It'll be
All
going up.
right. I guess I want to expand a little bit on this, and then I'll let it go. But gotta talk about it again. So it finally came out last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't even know uh, how badly injured Patrick Kane was.
Yep, we talked about that 2 weeks ago. And,
We talked about it
we
before
did
it came
go over
out.
it. Yeah.
Had surgery, probably won't see the ice. Not sure how he's going to reckon through free agency here come July, but just damaged goods, man. And for all, so this is two things here. This is helpful and credited to the people that were excited about the trade. Obviously, you get a name like Patrick Kane, showed time. The guy has produced. He's won Stanley Cups. He's a great scorer. He's one of the highest American scorers ever to play the game. All those great things, right? So you hear his name, you're like, yeah, get Kane, get Kane. Now we come to find out the guy wasn't even close to being what what he could bring. He wasn't healthy. Wasn't healthy at all. Damaged goods. Now I know a couple of weeks ago, Katsi and I brought it up, but now with everything coming out, with the hip surgery and the whole nine, I mean, you got to know. And then I'll follow this up. Katsi, you're going to have to help here if you got any information that you can share. I know sometimes things you can't share, but the longtime trainer, Jim Ramsey, gets let go. Is this related to the Patrick Kane situation? It's totally different.
I honestly haven't heard anything about that. I was kind of surprised that he was let go. Is it possible? Sure, it is. Anything's possible these days because that whole thing has evolved now into what we all suspected a couple weeks ago, that he was not 100% healthy, and by him having this operation, it's going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 months, they said, for him to be okay to play again. So I'm guessing that's probably at least 2 months into the season, maybe 3. And Paulie goes back to what I said 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, we as players sometimes bite our tongue when we shouldn't.
Well,
okay? And I told you that 2 weeks ago.
And this brings me to this.
Okay, go ahead.
This brings me to this because I really want you to. This is where it's really powerful. This is where I feel like this show really helps our fan base and people that love the game learn more. You're a guy. You're a guy who's been there. You've played the league. You're a professional athlete. So I want to kind of mix this so the people listening understand. So Ramsey's job as Kane comes in, Ramsey's job is to evaluate the athlete to make sure he's healthy enough to play, correct?
Yeah.
And to obviously report back to management to say, give a percentage of, I think the guy's, I think he's 80%, 60%, 40%. He should play, he shouldn't play, he can play. All those things are really on the medical staff and the training staff to try to evaluate the player's ability to contribute. Is that correct?
Yeah. No, you're right.
So I would have to think that Ramsey was either tripped up and confused or he wasn't fully honest. And that's why he had to be let go.
I think it's really hard to explain how a player reacts when he knows deep down he shouldn't be playing or shouldn't dress that night or shouldn't dress after an injury during a game. I don't think there's been much change when it comes to how a player thinks, Paulie.
Right.
And see, here's the difference today. There is one difference today, though. They are very well taken care of today when it comes to the medical side.
Right.
Compared to our day. Because when a coach or a GM or a trainer back when I played came to you and said, can you still go?
Oh yeah, I can go.
They didn't say it to you in a way like, tell me that you're hurt. They said it in a way to you like, you better fucking play.
Right.
Okay, that's the way we were.
Right.
That's how we were asked.
Right.
And it was very hard for us to say no, unless there was a bone sticking out or a ligament sticking out, or something really bad happened to you.
Right.
So I think Patrick Kane still came in. He came into the league when some of that attitude was still there by player. But I think as the league has gone on, you got players now that geez, if I got a cold today, I won't play. So yeah, it's possible. Everything you explained there is possible. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Obviously, being a Ranger guy and being around a little bit of the Rangers, none of that stuff has come out. I don't think it ever will come out. But obviously something went wrong there because Ramsey's been known as one of the best around the league, and he's been with the Rangers for a long time. For him to be, I don't know what you call it, kicked out, basically let go after the circumstances of them losing the series to Jersey and the Patrick Kane thing, there might be something to it. I don't know. Yeah. I honestly don't know. But players 9 times out of 10, Paulie, will never admit that they're hurt.
No, I get that, and it's the trainers and the professionals around the players to try to evaluate and make the decisions, in performance, and I'm sure there's a process.
I could tell you stories. Okay, in Toronto, for example, I couldn't grab a stick one day after blocking a shot the night before, and we're going to practice in Minnesota. And I told our trainer, I'm not going to name his name because he's passed away now in Toronto. I said, listen, I can't even grab the stick today with my left hand because I blocked a shot the night before. Well, he went to our coach, who was John Brophy, the asshole. Okay, and Bro's words to him were, you tell Katsopoulos he's got to get the fuck out there for practice. So what did I do? I managed to go out there for practice and did what I could with one hand on my stick. That's the difference then compared to today. Mm. I think Patrick Kane's caught between that and the new way.
Yeah. Well, I just... to see Ramsey go, that sucks. But, you got to look at it and think somebody didn't do their job, and that and here we are. And
if they're going to scapegoat Patrick Kane and scapegoat Ramsey and like the fans and everybody, you want to blame them for the Rangers losing 4 straight. You should go watch another sport. Okay?
Yeah, it's true.
Watch another sport.
So I didn't know. I wanted the listeners to understand how.
It was proper because it came out this week that he has to have an operation. Or he's had the operation.
Yeah.
Good luck to him. I hope it works out. He still wants to play apparently. So.
Yeah. Well,
maybe he'll come back for the Rangers nice and healthy at a really, really cheap contract and show what he could possibly do. I don't know.
So, all right. Well, I think we talked about it enough. We'll move on. We will talk about the coaching situation a little bit, everyone. I do want to kind of I know Kotze got a couple things he wants to talk about. I find this interesting. I think Kotze thought that, and I know we've talked about this for a very, very long time. Kotze, you had mentioned to me before the show started, you were like, I might not say this, but there's a lot to be said about the Stanley Cup roster this year.
Ooh, ouch.
So I'll leave it there because this is the platform for it to be.
Is this going to be an ouch time for some people, maybe? Probably.
It might be. I don't think so because I think fans know.
There's diehards on all sides of the ocean and north of the border and south of the border. But I'll get into it. Was talking to Ranger great Ron Greshner, and we talked about this 10 or 15 years ago, but the other day we talked about it, and we were looking at the rosters of both teams, Paulie, and I'm going to break it down for you. Right now, the Florida Panthers have 11 Canadians on their roster. 4 Europeans, and 3 U.S. players out of their
Listen up.
start. That's starting 18 right there.
Listen up, everyone.
All right. Now, Las Vegas has a few more players total because they do mix and match a few guys like in their lineup, but they have 15 Canadians on their starting lineup. Up to 15, sorry. 3 Europeans and 2 U.S. players. I think I'll just leave it at that.
But I won't.
I know you won't. That's why I'm bringing it up for you.
So I think it's really important because, and here's why I think it's important. Every year I sit in the same fucking chair with this show, and Chris and I have these conversations. And it's huge. I really think it's huge. If you look at the two teams right now competing for the Stanley Cup, okay, you can compare your team, whoever it is, most of them are Ranger fans, to this team. Here's one dynamic. Chris mentioned, well, there's obviously twice as many Canadian players, if not more, than anyone else. And usually Canadian-style hockey players play what kind of game? They dig in the boards, they go in deep, they take the body, usually have their head. It's a North American Canadian style brand of hockey, which is really the old style. They used to say, I bring my hat and my lunch pail to the arena. They're hardworking type of players, big body. They know when to take the body. They know where to take the body. They know how to dump and chase. They make the other team's defense, you have to understand when we say this, and there's a reason why I'm going to do this. Every year, Kotze and I sit here before the trade line evaluating the New York Rangers. And you, whatever team you were looking at, evaluate your own team, right? The first thing is look at the Golden Knights. How many 50-goal scorers are there? How many 100-point getters are there? How many guys on this team are breaking any kind of records? Are there Bings? Are there Hart trophies? Are there Rocket Richard? Is there anything like that happening?
Nope.
How about the Florida Panthers? The one goal scorer they had, natural goal scorer, they traded last year for Kachuk, who's fucking pounding and grounding it out. The point being is every year we say this, and I don't get it. That's why I thought when he told me this today, because he really didn't have time to do this kind of research, it's the first thing that went off of my head. And Kotze knows me, and that's why we've been doing this so long. He knows that I'm going to have a reaction like every year we talk about, what do the Rangers need? Think about whatever your team is. What do the Rangers need? Well, they have great goal scoring, but they don't have the guys to do the dirty work. That's why I said Patrick Kane was the wrong decision. I wanted them to go out there and get a Ryan O'Reilly or a Bertuzzi or someone who's going to mix it up. Imagine, but the point being is that Canadian hockey players play a brand of hockey that is still needed in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and too many other teams are surrounded by the pretty shit, the European style. Those teams are sitting home right now. Those teams are home right now. And you can't sit back and tell me that either one of these two teams, maybe Vegas because they got the amazing draft, that entry draft.
But they only got one guy left on that team original.
Yeah, that's true.
Only one guy left from the original team.
One? Really?
That's it.
I thought they.
I think it's Marchessault.
Well, I thought they got Howden from the Rangers, though.
No, not that's not Howden was on the Rangers like 3 years ago, Paulie. 3-4 years ago.
I thought they lost him in the expansion.
No. They only got one player left on their team from the original introductory season. That's all they got.
So, regardless, you look at the two teams, like we're talking, and you have a Canadian brand of hockey. that is much needed in the Stanley Cup. It's needed on your team. But Kotze brings out, hey, I want to let you know that there's 15 Canadian players on Las Vegas, or 18. Would you say 15 or 18?
It's 15. 15 players
15
potentially
players,
on their lineup.
and there's 11 on the Panthers.
Florida, yeah.
Okay, both these teams. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Now,
I've been telling you this for a long time, and
but why are we the only fucking people who get it?
Because the NHL goes by what the NHL votes and calls for. They want slicker players. They want players playing with freedom out there. They want all this shit. But look what happens in the end. There's not one guy on the Vegas defense that doesn't hit somebody. Not one fucking guy on Vegas. Now, I did a little quick survey on them too, a pound for pound size. They average 6'3".
Right.
And they average between 210 and 215 pounds. Florida. Even Mark fucking Stahl is hitting fucking people. The guy, he hit more people in one game last week, or before the last series, than he hit all year, his whole career
as a Ranger.
For the Rangers.
It's true. It's funny Kotze says that because I was watching the game and it was a nasty. It was a cross check and a grab and a punch, and I thought to myself, this fucking guy, he never did that as a New York Ranger. I watched hundreds of Ranger games, hundreds, if not thousands. Never seen him in the – and he played, what, 12 years for the Rangers?
Yeah.
10, 12 years for the
long
Rangers?
time.
Never seen that guy get nasty and ugly and just so disgustingly dirty. First time in his career. You know why? He's realizing I ain't got a lot left.
I think he grew that Viking beard, and then all of a sudden,
he's got like Samson. He just got nasty. But there's a whole point to this, people, and I'm not trying to be derogatory. Listen, I'm an American. Okay, Kotze's dual citizenship.
I'm an American too, guys.
Right. Okay. This isn't about It's trying to make everyone understand who digs into the show and really knows where we're coming from. It's stuff like this that we go over and we repeat time and time. I look back at shows that Kotze and I did probably 10 years ago. I'm actually trying to get the old Blog Talk shows. I'm trying to get all of those. Matter of fact, Nikki Fatiu, number 22, was on one of those shows.
Yes,
and
he was.
I was in awe because I watched them as a kid. But my point being this, going back to that show, I remember the Rangers got Tanner Glass, okay? He was the only guy that they had that would stick up for his teammates. He was pretty good. He was well-known in the league. As he could drop the gloves with pretty much anyone. He was probably middle to heavyweight.
Listen, he's part of the Ranger organization. I love that guy, though. He
loved it
all the way.
And Kotze and I will go like this. Why isn't Vigneault playing him? Why isn't Vigneault playing him? Why is it? And then something happened and he had to come up and Vigneault plays him. Guy scores a goal. Guy does this. Guy does that. He helped the Rangers win that series, whatever it was, his presence. And Chris and I would constantly say, the Rangers need more players like this. The Rangers need more players. This is 10, 12 years ago.
Listen, first of all, you brought up a coach that honestly is just nothing but a pussy coach to start with.
Yeah.
He had all the talent in the world in Vancouver, couldn't win because they lacked toughness. He had all the talent in the world with the Rangers, they lacked toughness. So that's Alain Vigneault, and I don't give a shit if he hears about this from me. You were a pussy coach. That's all there is to it.
But
he was a pussy coach.
In the end, I want people to understand that.
Paulie, I just got to jump in here about that. Here's what it is. Obviously, a long time ago, Canada dominated the league when it comes to players. Okay, it's not that dominant no more. I've always said to you, I think the U.S. has closed the gap when it comes to the talent pool and stuff like that. It used to be a foot gap. Now it's like inches, away. But this is just proof. It's got nothing to do. And I'm sure there's plenty of hockey players out there that are born and raised in the USA that could play that style, that do play that style, and we'll play that style. Okay, right? But this is proof to me that all the bullshit with the slick skilled and we want power play after power play, all the bullshit penalty calls where you tap a guy's stick, he drops it, acts it out. I wanted to get into that too. The acting job's really fucking great so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs too, and the referees calling penalties that are 1 on a 10 scale, and these guys are still acting it out. Anyhow, what I'm getting at is you still need skirt steak, okay? It can't always be filet mignon in your lineup.
Right.
You need that tough, chewy fucking steak once in a while. In fact, you need a lot more of that than you'd need the filet mignon. Take a look at the way these teams got there. Yes, they got goal scorers. Yes, they got skilled players on defense. Okay? But in the end, how's Vegas' fourth line doing? How's their third line doing? Last I looked, the last game, how many goals did the defensemen score for Vegas? They scored most of the goals the last game. They scored like 3 out of the 7 or 4 out of the 7. These are not Norris Trophy candidates.
Right.
These are just brute, strong, physical, add a little skill type players. You can't. I'll give you a good example right now, okay? And I'm not going to knock these two, but who's more physical between Lafreniere and Kako?
Lafreniere.
Where's he from?
Quebec. Or is he Montreal? Is it Montreal?
Well, whatever. He's from Canada.
He's a Canadian kid, of course.
Well, there you go. I'm just giving you an example. A little bit of an edge physically helps your skilled players. Jonathan Marchessault is, I looked him up. He's 5'9". He's the smallest guy probably on the ice in this whole series. He's 183 or 185 pounds. Have you seen him take runs at people? I have. He takes runs at people, and yet he's the leading scorer on their team.
Huh. Isn't that funny?
Well, it just shows it. What kind of players you need to win Stanley Cups. Stone, Grinder. Eichel's taken a lot of punishment, but he's giving it out too. I'm not saying this is over yet, but Vegas surprised me, Paulie, overall. They have surprised me because that is one heavy, heavy hockey club.
Yeah.
They're not small. They play a heavy game, and you better be ready to play against them.
Yeah. They forecheck really good. They win a lot of puck battles because, like you said, they have the weight. They can wear defense down. They win the court. Listen, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. We've talked about this time and time again. I get it. I love the skill that the Rangers have, but if you don't complement that with guys who win puck battles and play dirty and win in the zones that matter, this game is broken down in bits and pieces. You've got to everyone bitches about Panarin. Panarin's not the guy who's going to win you puck battles, man. But if you get a guy, if you have guys on the team that can grind it out and wear down defensemen and make defensemen think about where they're going with the puck next and what they're going to do and how deep they want to go in the corner, blah, 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 and then have the strength and the power to win those battles. You have to win the little battles to win the big battles.
You have to win a lot of little battles. That's the key.
Right.
In order for the skill to show off.
Exactly.
Because the way the Rangers are set up right now, I'll still say they got more skill than both these teams up front.
Yeah. They just don't have –
But they don't have the guys that's going to go bang that defenseman and make him hurry that pass. They don't have that guy that's going to win the puck battle up front. They really don't.
Right.
When you think about it, that big, strong line that comes out there and says, okay, boys, dump it in. Let's go hit these guys.
Right.
Let's stir it up. Let's cause shit. You know what I mean?
When the puck's out on the corner.
Florida and Vegas has those kind of players.
Yep.
I
mean, look at everything after the whistle. The scrums after the whistle. The scrums in front of the net. Everybody's fighting for every little inch. you got to say it. Bottom line is, and I'll be the first one to raise my hand. When Florida traded Huberdeau for
You and
Kachuk,
I both thought it was a great trade for Calgary at first.
I was like, wow, what did
100,
Florida
100,
just
was
do?
he was a
Yeah.
110, 115 point guy that year.
Yeah, I was like, wow, they just traded a pure goal scorer for a grinder. But now look who's paying. Look where it's paying off, right? Don't get me wrong. Listen, I was the most skeptical guy. Well, when this started, what did I say to Chris? I said, I don't think the Panthers will win one game against the Bruins. Okay? So I'm not here saying
I thought it would go 6. I was
right.
wrong. It went 7.
I'm not standing on a rock with a staff saying, I knew it. Far from it. Nobody predicted this Florida team. And I don't want to hear the bullshit because people don't know what they're talking about. Well, Florida's been on the cusp. They were on the cusp. They also made the biggest trade in the offseason and got rid of their highest scoring guy on the fucking team. So don't tell me they were on the cusp. They got to the cusp and they got frustrated and went out and got Kachuk and barely made the playoffs this year. They squeaked in. They had to wait for the Penguins to lose, hope for this to happen, and win a couple of hockey games. So please don't get on that bandwagon because you don't know what you're talking about. But getting back to this, here they are. Holy shit. You know, they beat all the best teams that they could beat. Yep, they're down 2-0. But I said to Kotze starting, I said, I hate to say this, but I haven't given up on them just yet. Tomorrow's game is huge. Huge. They win tomorrow, though. We both said
back in business again. If they win tomorrow, they're back in business. But I think that tsunami that was a category 10. It's dropped down to about a 4 right now. Okay, it's right? dropping fastly. If they don't win tomorrow, you know, that's the way it looks.
So, I mean, I got to tell you, the whole point of this discussion was Kotze brought up the Canadian players.
It's just something I want to throw out there for the people that listen and the fans. I mean, you know, it's not a biased thing. It's a fact. There's a reason why those lineups are built like that. Yeah. There's a reason why these two teams are battling for the Stanley Cup right now. There's a reason why that one team, Florida, beat the so-called awesome Boston Bruins at a fantastic regular season. They beat another favorite, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they went on and beat Carolina. Now they might have met their match in Vegas, but you know, in Vegas, again, I underappreciated them all year because I never really followed them until it got about halfway through the place because I still didn't believe in them. Okay. Right. I started watching them a little more, and then I started looking at their lineup, and I'm looking at their roster. I'm looking at their size. I'm looking at the key guys that score. And then I'm seeing all these other guys that are pitching in scoring too, like Carrier and Colasar and all these other guys throughout the playoffs. And one thing in common they have, they all hit. They all take the body. There's not one guy on that team that doesn't take the body, and that includes Marchessault. If you're a coach, you got to love that.
Yeah.
My star player will hit you once in a while.
Right. Yep.
And now they got a goaltender that he was probably, I think they picked him up in a trade somewhere in the middle of the year. I don't know the story on that totally, but he's standing on his head out there. He's got a great D in front of him. All he has to do is make the simple saves now.
Yeah. It's just, you know, both these teams are quite the story, East and West stories.
Yeah.
You know, and again, you know, I think, you know, getting back to the point of, and I don't think, you know, the other part of this is that when Kotze says, well, guess what, they're Canadian players, he's not taking that from a Canadian pride standpoint. What he's doing is he's taking that from a teaching of how these Canadian players are taught and brought into playing the game. They're just hard-nosed, hard-working players. It's not, like he said, it's, you know, it's not about Canadian pride. It's about, when he says these are Canadian players, we're talking about they have that North American Canadian style of
They
play.
have the style of play of
That's needed.
the way the game was originated.
Exactly.
Not the make believe bullshit the NHL's trying to turn it into.
Basic, first of all, the hockey knowledge that we always talk about. These players play with the basic understanding of the game. Okay, got nothing to do, chip it. Gain red line, dump it. Okay, it's okay to ice it. Just basic points of knowing what to do. Don't do too much and do enough when you have to. And get in there and work hard and work hard and work hard. Like I said, years ago, you'd hear the Canadian players, it just put my nose to the grindstone. Or, he's a player that brings his lunch pail. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about just doing the basic common knowledge, what they were taught, doing it well, and playing that type of hard-working game. And that is what's in the Stanley Cup on both sides right now. So all the highfalutin, high-scoring Stamkoses, the Panarins, the Zibanejads, the Eichels, not the Eichels, the Matthews, all these guys, it's great, and you got to have them. Don't get me wrong. But look at what hard work will do for you and get you where you're going.
Paulie, it just struck me too here that with us bantering back and forth and coming up with all this stuff, because it's all true. The part for me, an old school guy and obviously way out of date and stuff like that, I don't understand why you don't hit in the National Hockey League today as a player, period. I don't care if you're like a smooth skating skill player. Why are you afraid to hit in today's game? There's nobody out there that's going to end your career.
Yeah.
Not like it was when I played. You didn't have to play against Bobby Probert or Joey Kosher or Basil McRae or Dave Semenko or Tim Hunter. I can go on and on and on. Or Clark Gillies or Bob Nystrom or Gary Howitt. I can go on and on about this shit where you can see guys who were scared shit in our dressing room when I played to even think about hitting somebody. But today, there's nobody like that. They don't have that kind of hockey player anymore where you touch my guy and you're going to die. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't understand that. Yeah. I mean, you would think there'd be a field day right now if you had that mentality of an 80s, 70s, 60s player now. I can go and hit everybody I want. I don't have to pay the price to nobody.
Right.
And I don't know why they don't do it. Yeah. Why wouldn't you love doing that?
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. But just another situation we wanted to talk about.
We got to cut right into this. The coaching carousel. This is all like we got. First of all, I'm not happy with my other former team, Leafs, hiring Brad Trevling, who did a poor job in Calgary, and now you bring him in to run the Toronto Maple Leafs. And you know what that was all about? That gives Shanahan another 2 years of leeway to bail out. Okay, and I love Brendan Shanahan as a player. Right. Who wouldn't? But as a president of operations, I think he's done a poor job in Toronto. Yeah. A piss poor job. And then he got into a little dispute there with Kyle Dubas, the GM, the young, wizard. And in the end, Kyle Dubas realized you're not going to beat management, so Shanahan fires him. But here's the way the league works: fires him, and Pittsburgh picks him up. Kyle Dubas. So now we'll get to the coaching part. Andrew Brunette, who coached Florida a couple years ago and was assistant coach somewhere this year, I don't even remember, somewhere in the playoffs. He takes Nashville job, right? Cabry, assistant coach for the Leafs, he gets to coach your boy Ovechkin. I wonder how he'll like that. And then you got Michael Babcock coming back to the league apparently with Columbus. What are they going to learn about this guy? Every player that I've talked to, and I've talked to at least a half dozen of them that played under him, they can't stand the guy. So JD's taking a big chance at bringing this guy in. Now, here's the good one. I'm going to go on a limb. I said it earlier. I think Peter Laviolette's going to be the guy the New York Rangers hire. I don't think it'll be Hines. Those are the rumors. Hines or Laviolette. What do you think?
I tell you.
Peter Laviolette hasn't won a Stanley Cup or round in the Stanley Cup since 2013. You know that, right?
Yeah.
That's years ago.
I got to tell you, man. I don't know what Drury was thinking letting Gerard go so quickly. But, Cots, I've been thinking this and thinking this and thinking this and thinking this and thinking this. And for me, it came down to two guys that I would have liked to see as a New York Ranger coach. And I don't know if everyone's going to agree or like this, but you mentioned one of them. I like Mike Babcock. I like his style. And the other guy and I don't know, and I've heard, and I don't know what's going on, but I like Joel Quenneville.
That I agree with, but Babcock is a fucking big no with me.
So, I don't want Laviolette. I definitely don't want a rookie coach. I don't want a new guy. I think this team needs some hard-nosed ugliness, not John Tortorella type.
What? You don't want Uncle Vinny types?
Uncle Vinny couldn't coach this team and be successful. He couldn't coach Panarin.
He would make it tougher, though.
Maybe.
Yeah, he would.
Anyhow, so why not Babcock? This guy's won Stanley Cup.
Well, when you look at his record, it's not as great as everybody wants it to be. Yeah, he got a Stanley Cup, but he's not that great. He couldn't win one in Toronto where they gave him all the money in the world, all the people in the world, all the things in the world, and the players hated him. So if a player hates your coach, how are they going to play? You think they're going to play with their heart?
No.
I'm just telling you, this is how it goes. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. And the guys in Detroit, when I was in that Detroit thing there up in Brockville, the guys that played for him under there, they didn't have very many good things to say about him, Paulie.
He's a tough bastard.
Okay, but they didn't have very many good things to say about him, okay? So why didn't he win more there then? Scotty Bowman's the one that won 3 Stanley Cups there. Remember that.
I understand.
Okay? I got 2 names out there that I think should be involved too, besides Quenneville.
Go ahead.
One, I looked into more of this Jay Leach guy from Seattle. He's 43 years old. He's done his time. He's been an ex-player. He's helped Seattle come out of nowhere to become a strong team, And he was basically the choice behind their head coach now, Haskell. He came in second, but they still hired him as a guy. But here's the Jack of Hearts the Joker in my deck. I wouldn't mind seeing Patrick Roy as a head coach.
Really?
Yeah. He's a no-nonsense guy, but his players loved him in Quebec there with the Ramparts. You can see the way they rallied around him when they won the Memorial Cup last week. I was actually watching that stuff. He can be Tortorella-like when it comes to the media, but he's also got Stanley Cup pedigree. He did coach for a while, but I think the problem he had in Colorado was that he quit abruptly because him and management just didn't see eye to eye. Yeah. But he's also a guy that, hey, you're going to do it my way or, you're not going to play. You can't keep putting shit after shit out in the ice if they're not doing their job, Paulie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm throwing you a little.
Listen, I get it, man. I get it. I just.
Everybody's talking about Mark Messier. Everybody's talking about this guy that played. Well, Patrick Roy, I call him Roy, people, not Roy. It's Roy to me. Don't get angry about it, but that's the way. He's got experience of coaching. That's my point.
Yeah.
Mark Messier doesn't have any experience right now. Period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Messier is a super Hall of Famer. I always say it, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, captain a team sport has ever had. Any sport. Is he ready to get behind the bench? I don't know.
Yeah. Coach, my thing with Mess, because I thought about this long and hard. I think he definitely, and we talked about this in the show. I would love to see him to become like player personnel, something, because I think he should have some type of interaction with the players, whether it be strategic or X's and O's. But I think he should be involved. But my thing is he first, like you said, he doesn't have any head coaching experience, and then what happens? Where does his legacy go as a New York Ranger?
That's the big thing. You and I talked about that. That's a big. If you become a head coach of the New York Rangers, and you have like say 3 years of flat tires, your legendary thing comes way down. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what you did for the organization. So he's got to think about that.
Sure.
Now, the other part that you were talking about, you got to remember this now too, Paul. You work in a business, okay? You work at a pretty high-profile company, okay? The people above you look down, and in their minds, they want people that are down below them not to be a threat for their job. So if Messi becomes a player personnel type guy or a assistant to the president, like you want, something not coaching wise, but something else, that's potential for clashing with the president and the GM of the team eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more involved with this stuff. And like you said, his legacy's etched in stone right now, but you don't want it chipped away, do you?
No. But I feel like there is a position for him. They just have to,
He had it at one time, but he didn't like it. He left. So
yeah. And Drew wound up becoming the president, the general manager. I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know. I really don't.
I don't know. I don't know who they're going to hire, but my bet right now it's going to be Lavalette. That's what I'm sticking with.
I hope that you're wrong. I hope, because I really believe it's going to be Quenneville. And the reason why is because I did read some articles that Quenneville, they're working on trying to clear Quenneville to coach. And I believe the NHL and Gary Bettman has had discussions, because obviously he stepped down for that situation that we don't need to get into. But there's work that Quenneville's trying to right the ship. I think he works great with the New York Rangers. I think he brings a lot of that old style, and I still think that he's definitely capable of working with guys with, he's worked with. I'm not sure. Did he coach with Panarin? I worry about guys.
He coached with Panarin.
Yeah, I worry about guys like Panarin being happy, and Zibanejad. Zibanejad's a harder worker than. I think they both work hard, but I just think
Zibanejad plays the game all around better.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I agree with that. I just think they need that type of coach. I'm a little afraid of a newer coach. I'm afraid that might really upset chemistry. But who knows? Who knows?
Well, Quenneville's not. Listen, I know Joel very well. I've known him all my life, and he won't be afraid of the big city.
No, I know.
He's in Chicago. He's well versed in this stuff, and like you say, you don't want to get into it. I still think there's a lot of bogus shit what happened to him, but that's just me.
I think they need that seasoned guy. I do.
I agree with that, but it's also one of these here, Paulie. That seasoned guy like Joel's going to come in, and there's going to be a structure of how you play. And I think a lot of those guys we're talking about up front that are locked into big time contracts with no trade clauses and all that crap are going to get a rude awakening this year. Whoever it is.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to be same old, and then you're going to move forward to the Stanley Cup, no, things have got to change with those guys too.
I don't disagree.
You can't be same old. Like Panarin can't just go out there and get his 90 points and not show up again. You know what I mean? Zibanejad, that's the first time he was really a no-show. That can't happen. Fox, I don't know what happened to you your last 5 games of the series, but you look tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot to be done, and I think Chris Drury's got his hands full. I think this is going to be his toughest summer to figure out.
Yeah.
And up till this year, I thought he'd done a job. You know, this year not so good, but you know, circumstances are circumstances. You know.
Yeah. Where's that rotten old Uncle Vinny? Where is he? Is he coaching anybody?
Philly. He's in Philly.
Oh, that's right. He's in
That's
Philadelphia.
right. He's in Philly. He's with Keith Jones now in Briere.
Actually, you know what? I remember last year he made a comment that he got asked, and he said the only team worth a shit in this town is the Philadelphia Phillies. I think that's what he said. Shows you the character of guy he is.
He's your boy.
I can't stand
He's your boy. It's really funny though, you know, as much as you have a disdain for this guy, since he left the Rangers, how come he keeps finding jobs?
He's not been real successful though.
But how come he's still finding things? This is his 4th fucking team.
I know.
Since
then. In like 6 years. 4 team in what, 5 years, 6 years?
I'm just saying.
He didn't do too good in Vancouver. He couldn't hold that ship, could he?
No, but he didn't do that great in whatever there.
Where else he fucking went?
But neither's Babcock either. Babcock had one big fling, and that's it.
Yeah.
He had one Stanley Cup winner, and that was with that loaded Euro team in Detroit with Shanahan and everybody else. That's it. That's all he's won. Tortorella never had the talent that team had.
Yeah. Well,
we'll find out how good your boy Babcock is when he's coaching Columbus this year. Okay, we'll find out how good.
Well, I mean, you can't coach, garbage.
Well, here's my theory on it. The only reason why he went to Columbus is because nobody else fucking wanted him. Well, he knows he has a bad reputation with the players. Period. That's a true fact. Okay, whether you want to hear it or not, it's a true fact. And in Columbus, who covers him? Nobody. You know what I mean? Yeah. What kind of coverage does the Columbus Blue Jackets get nationwide? It's a good place to hide. It's a good place to hide.
I mean, I don't think Tortorella has a good reputation with the players either.
You know what? They got rid of somebody in Philadelphia. They didn't get rid of Tortorella. How come?
Yeah. I tell you though, more importantly, I hope you're wrong, Cuts. I don't think Laviolette's the guy, man.
I'm just telling you. Mark my words. Maybe you'll come back and give me the old "I told you so." But right now, I think he's a lock. Right now, that's what I think.
Shit, that's scary.
Well, it is what it is. See, Quenville would be a great choice too, Paulie. But the problem is, there's so much what do you call that shit? Too much paperwork, too much tape work, and all that crap to go through. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. He's got to meet the NHL standards. He probably has to meet all the board of governors. Okay, you know what I mean? All the bullshit in the world. I don't know what the details are and how he could get back in the league, but I'm assuming that there's a lot of bullshit that he's got to go through to get okayed by everybody.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to check this piece of furniture here. Let's see what we got here. Got anything else?
No, that's it. I had what I had. I think we covered quite a bit here. And
thank you for your help, as always.
We're going to do one more when the cup's over, okay? Yeah, we'll do one more.
All right.
All right, just one more when the cup's over.
We got to do it when the cup's over. But I'm still
one thing I want to ask you. How do you think the ratings are going with the NHL right now?
Oh, you know what? You can tell I'm tired, man. I've been romping on that and stomping on that for how long now?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Have you checked to see what the ratings are? Anybody got any?
I haven't. I'd like to know what the viewership is.
I have no idea.
So what
I
was
will admit I haven't watched both games from beginning to end, but I probably watched 3/4 of the games.
Sure.
I'm still doing the flick of channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want to say that it's funny because I listened to a podcast that we did on the radio with Blog Talk. I've been trying to gather up a lot of our Blog Talk stuff, and we were right here. We were talking again about viewership because there was two non-Canadian teams. Hadn't even like made the playoffs at that time. There was not one Canadian team that made the playoffs.
Yeah, it's been 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years since the Canadian teams won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Well, you know,
and I don't really count that one because it was the Montreal Canadiens, so that's not really important.
Coming from a Leafs fan, right? Well, I mean, it's almost 100 years for the Rangers with 100 years, 4 Stanley Cups in 100 years. One every 25 if you're lucky. So I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna do that.
We got eight. Look at this. Anthony Carlucci wrote 881,000 total viewers. Now what is that for game what? Was that for both games?
Gonna try to go to get that money.
It's not wrong, right back. You know, nobody gives a shit about the Montreal Canadiens. Okay.
Oh my God. So total viewers for both games right now, they got 800. That I gotta say, that's
like that. Like, listen,
way under.
Tiddlywinks gets more viewers than that.
Yeah, that's got to be if that's right, which I believe Anthony is probably right, and that was my point. My point is it's so under. You know, there's no original 6. There's no Canadian team. I knew the viewership was going to be the shit, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, and I didn't because I didn't bring it up.
But I just thought of it to the last second.
I know, but real brief, that's got to show the board of governors and the owners and Gary Stupid Bettman that this playoff format is a big mistake for the
price tag. That's more like it, but even that's still low. Okay? That's still low. Only having under 900,000 total viewers.
It's still, the playoff format hurts the dollars and cents for the sport. And the cap went up $1 million next year. Big whoopee-doo.
That would have been big in my day. That would have been huge in my day.
Can't buy a fucking sandwich for that right now. Are you kidding me? No. Just a bunch of crap. Got a bunch of knuckleheads running the NHL. You got a bunch of knuckleheads running the NHL's network with ESPN. Just a terrible job. Marketing is awful. Viewership is down. The NHL needs a facelift. And I guess we'll have to one day talk about where the Phoenix Coyotes, Arizona Coyotes, Phoenix.
Oh, that's another one we forgot to get into.
Where are they going?
That'll be on our final show. I want to talk about that.
They don't even have a home. We got a lot to talk about.
They're gonna play out of a minor league building again, a college building again. The players are not happy down there. There's lots to talk about that one. Really? Hey, Anthony, before we go, you tell Clifton's old man that next time I see him, I'm gonna knock the shit out of him. I still haven't got that photo from his son.
So anyway,
this is the next coach of the New York Rangers right here.
Oh, is that the wait? Don't tell me. Hold on. Is that the creature of the Black Lagoon?
No.
Oh, it looks like him.
No.
Who is it?
This is, but that's not it.
That looks like him.
That's the Emar from Ray Harryhausen movie.
Whatever. That's the creature of the Black Lagoon to me.
You know what this one is, right? See? Look, everybody. Woo! Batmobile. That's it. 881,000 total viewers. That is piss poor.
All right. So it is down. Beth gave me a quick report. Game one, which peaked at 3.3 million viewers, was the most watched Stanley Cup final opener on cable since the Hurricane Red Wings on ESPN.
Really?
And second most watched on record. Keep in mind, it was just the seventh game won on cable in 21 years span, and the 11th and 30th years. The first two games of the Panthers Golden Knights NHL Stanley Cup final averaged 2.7 million viewers, respectively, across TNT, TBS, True TV, Saturday and Monday nights, both down just over a third. So I was right. They're down over a third from last year's Lightning and Avalanche, which was at about 4.2.
Well, on my DirecTV, Paulie, they had it on 4 channels.
Yeah.
TBS, TNT, Court, whatever, True TV, this TV. I've never seen that before either. Trying to get like 4 stations to cover it.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now. They know that they screwed up, and this format is not going to work if they want to pay the bills, and that's why the cap only went up $1 million. They're not making money. They did a bad. They lost the center ice. They didn't do a good job with. ESPN has been awful. ESPN has Hulu and streaming TV now that they're trying to get games on. They're trying to put games on streaming TVs. It's a debacle. It's a debacle. It's a debacle. Well, I guess another time we'll have to talk about no home for the Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes that are going to wind up somewhere else in America, I'm sure. The viewership is down. The playoff standings suck. ESPN's coverage is awful, and their analysis is horrible. And we'll keep going from there. So we'll get you one more when the cup ends.
It is what it is.
Subscribe. We'll see you in about a week. I'm going to still say I think Kotze's probably going Vegas. I'm going to say the Panthers are still going to win the cup.
I'm not going to anybody. I just I'm like kind of blah. Like either one's okay with me.
Yeah. Game 3 is the key. The Panthers lose tomorrow. It's all over.
But I do want to see torture, so I want to see 7 games.
There we go. Yep. All right, everyone. It was good to see and talk to everyone and bring you the show. We'll do one more, I think. We'll let you know. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube and share this on your social media. Till next time, peace out. Let's go Rangers. Hopefully it's Coach Q. If we're friends on Facebook, anywhere, if you're in the Instigators group, start listing your hopes for Coach. We'll talk about it online. All right, guys. Good night, everyone. And the broadcast.